Welcome back to Half A Hot Rods. Today we're back to work on Tucker's truck, and I wanted to finish up all the mounting and stuff on his gas tank, which, if you remember, we kind of left about there. And I was debating whether I wanted to turn the fuel filler to point towards the back or leave it on the side, because I was talking about doing a recessed filler in the middle of the bed. And I don't know, I'm not crazy about that idea, because even though I know this is more of a toy and he doesn't expect to be using it as a truck, if it's a truck, you still ought to be able to use it as a truck. I've seen a couple of different things where people put the filler neck, really talented people put it in the tail light hole and then they'll hinge the tail light so it'll swing out of the way. I'm not that talented. I've seen where guys will put it up under in the wheel well, and I just don't like that. So here's kind of what I'm thinking. And I'm gonna just build part of it so that Tucker can see it and then show him. So what I'm thinking is this old toolbox, I'm going to trim it so it'll set back in here, and then the filler neck will sit inside it somehow. I don't know, something like that. So we're going to see if this is within my fabrication skills. At first I thought about just like sectioning the toolbox and narrowing the whole thing up and trying to put it like that, but I'm not sure I have the navigation. You idiot! I'm not sure I have the fabrication skills for that. In fact, I'm pretty sure I don't. So instead, we're going to set it like that, and I'm going to trim a contour out of that so that it'll sit back in and not stick out past where the wheel well does. That way we don't really lose any of the part of the bed that we really use. So let's see if I can do it. Straight edge across here so that this would suck back inside this stake pocket, and then ran my pen along the fender well to mark where that curve should be. I think I'll grab a piece of cardboard and we'll try and mimic this with the cardboard so that I can cut the other side, and then we'll just do a straight line across the end. And then we'll see how it fits, and cut and grind until it does fit. And just to be clear, this is a toolbox that I was at an auction and it wouldn't sell, so they put it in a lot with some other stuff, which was actually stuff I wanted. So I ended up with a toolbox I didn't want, and I just hung on to it because it's kind of a cool old toolbox. It's got some patina, and so I really have nothing invested in this toolbox. So if I cut it up and destroy it and it doesn't work or he hates it, it's not a big loss. It'll go in a scrap pile. And I just marked the top and bottom of this, and I'm going to cut it in a real wide arch and then trim it down until it's actually what I want and it matches this other one. Just remembered I got these for Christmas. These might be precisely what I need for this. I've never used them before, but I think, so I'll show you how they work on this angle. You just press them into there and they should duplicate that curve, and then I could trace it to the other side. Let's cut this out and see what happens. We're going to have to get rid of this lock before we do anything else. That might be warm. Just thought of something. Might want to address it. Yep. Pro tip, take your magnets out before you start cutting. Otherwise they're going to collect all those metal shavings. Brilliant.
God, you're so stupid!
Got it. Oh. Oh, I was getting into the tool tray holder upper there. Yeah, I probably need gloves. What do you think, hound dog? Is that too noisy? Yeah. Actually, if I could leave that front on there, that might look kind of cool. I just don't want it sticking out into the normal bed space. So let's go see what this looks like. I really don't hate that. That's not too bad at all. I almost think you leave the front on it. I'm going to trim the bottom back. I'm going to trim this lip off the bottom so it'll set back just a little farther. This guy. And we'll try it again. Gonna make noise again, Ham. I want to be careful here, you know, because safety third. No, I want to be careful here because I don't want to get through the front of that. I want the front of that to sit against that fender. Alright, let's try it again. Oh, I broke it. That's okay. Hopefully we can tack weld that back together. I really think that's kind of cool. So here's what I'm thinking. This area right here, we might have to notch out a little bit so that it'll sit down a little lower, because you can see it's up just a hair as we go across. And then that filler neck, you can see this is the center line. I could choose either one of those depending on where I put my mounts at. It's going to be the center line of that hose. And it's going to be 1 3/4 inches, so probably 2 inches by the time you get to the outside, or 2 1/4 inches. So it's going to have to run across, and we can make a little bend with the rubber hose, come right up through here, and I'm thinking gas filler sits right there. And the more I look at it, just, you know, for test drive sake, got this little gas nozzle. That may have been what I was actually after in the auction when I got this toolbox I didn't want. That's ironic. But anyway, you could get in here with a gas hose without hitting bedsides or tailgate or anything else. So yeah, I think we'll take some pictures. Get my nozzle and see if I can get this mocked up a little more. What's funny about these magnets is yesterday I took them out and blew them all off with compressed air so that they would not have little metal slivers all over them. So then this guy would sit in here. I'd have to, obviously it'll be down through the bed, but this is more or less what it would look like, except for the cap would sit level. Because I cut a hole in the toolbox and in the bed so that this can just swoop right down in there to where it connects to the rubber hose. And I honestly like this. I like this a lot.
I like it a lot.
Open up. I like it a lot. And we drill a little drain hole back here in the bed, just like the ones they put in the front, so that we wouldn't get water built up or pine needles or whatever else behind that toolbox and have it rust out. Yeah, I think we'll send Tucker a couple of pictures of this and see what he thinks. So if you've never seen this done before, I saw a guy do this on YouTube. It's genius. This is how you clean these off. There we go. Now that I have metal slivers everywhere. And that's about what it would look like, right? I like that. I like that better than any of the other options. I mean, if I was any good, I'd move the fuel door, this guy, over to the other side where that one comes out and do it that way, but I'm just not confident I'm that good. So we're going to take some pictures of this, send them over to Tucker, see what he says. Well, good news is Tucker likes the idea of using the old toolbox for his filler neck, to hide his filler neck in the bed. So we're going to get started cutting some holes and making this thing fit. Here we go. Marks on the toolbox and marks on the bed. Cut this a little narrower. We're going to cut it over here on the bed. That's where the bed rail is underneath the support. I don't want to cut that out if I don't have to. If I need to weld this up and body working, I will, but I can see that right there is where that line is. That seems square. Always cut it bigger. We can always cut more out. It's a little harder to put it back. Alright, looks like it's doing what I want it to. That's normal. You're supposed to do that. Just go Ouch! Don't pull the saw out until it stops moving. Exactly. This is where the filler neck's going to go. But I may or may not have started cutting the bolt. But I probably didn't need to really. The pliers aren't strong enough to do anything with it. Just grab some washers to space this up how I want it on this end to make it sit right. Yeah, I kind of like having that gap there. Then I feel like we don't have to worry so much about rust. Because there's room for air to get under there and push moisture out. I think that's a pretty good gap. I'll show you what I'm looking at here. It's kind of hard to see, to know for sure, because the bed is sitting cockeyed because it's just balanced on tires. But if I can get this gap to be consistent end to end, that's where I want it. And I think we need this end to come up a little more. I think that's better. You think that's better? I think that's better. Yeah, I like that better than trying to hack this out and make it look right, because I don't think we're gonna. I really like that that corner is complete there. I think that's it right there. Money in the bank. Nothing underneath. Directly under those corners. So I think, honestly, I might just run a couple self-tappers through there for now. That'll do two things. It'll mark the holes where I want them. It'll mark the holes where I want them. It'll drill the holes, and it'll keep it from moving around while I figure out that end, so I can get this mocked up. After that not fitting through there the way I wanted it to, I just trimmed off the vent pipe. I saved it. It's somewhere in there. We'll turn it around, probably put it on the top. It's got to allow pressure out of the tank, and we'll figure that out once we've got it hooked up. Look right. Feels funky, but I think it looks right. Well, or does it? Maybe we need 5 on this corner. Let's try it. I think that's the ticket. We're looking at that angle, and then we're also looking here to make sure that it is parallel with the runners on the bed, which I think it is. Alright, nothing to it but to do it. Don't move. Alright, just zip it in there and walk away. I do want to mark that though. I'm lining that screwdriver up with the edge of the washers so I can look and see where I can drill my hole and miss the washers, but still have them there for support. Would you look at that? I found a tape measure. That's what one of these cordless drills sounds like when the battery's going dead. So this guy got busted apart back here when I was cutting. The spot weld broke. I think the time has come to fix that. so it doesn't mess with any of our other fitment. So you might have seen this in some of our previous videos, but this is a welding cart my son made me a couple years ago. I built a couple of custom wagons, and he decided to try his hand at it. I think it came out pretty cool. Little radial flyer. Kind of on stilts. Hauls around my little Hobart welder. And it works great. I pile all my crap in the top. Gloves and welding helmet and everything else. Works pretty good. So we'll see if we can get just a little tack on that to hold it. I'm not going to worry about it being a perfect finish. Maybe ever, but especially not right this second. Really, I should grind this off and have a nice, good, clean metal spot for the weld and for the ground. But I want to kind of keep this toolbox looking like it does. So we're going to see if we can do it without doing it right. Got my welding Crocs on. Got it turned pretty far down. And we're going to go real slow. Just touch it, let it cool off, touch it, and let it cool off. Put a blanket over my welding Crocs, that way or towel has to catch fire before the welding Crocs do. Yep, even that was too fast. This stuff is just so thin. There birds in here? Sure looks like one just crapped all over this corner. But it's mostly one piece. Ooh, even that from the inside. That from the inside could be a challenge. Let me get some more light. That's not for you, that's for me, so I can see what I'm doing here. Helping me? Oh, yeah. It's hard because I really want to just booger stitch that whole thing together. But I know, because I've done a little bit of thin sheet metal stuff before, that if I try to do that, even on a low setting, I'll just burn a giant hole in it and then I'll have a big mess to deal with. So, I think we're holding pretty good there. It's not pretty, but I'll show you because it's not going to be pretty when you're just starting out. But yeah, I believe that will hold. And I believe that will hold. Yeah, it's looks like boogers and bird crap, but I think it's going to hold. And we can come back and clean it up a little bit with a grinder later on. I don't want to do that right now. One, because it's hot. And two, because I don't want to split it apart, tear it apart. And I'm going to have a bunch of grinder work to do here anyway. So that'll keep it from wiggling around while I'm trying to get this thing situated in there. And make sure that none of my measurements change, my mounting points change. yeah, I think that'll hold it good enough for now. There was more cutting I wanted to do here, but I got to set it back in there to see it and make sure I get it right. So let's go have a look. We had 5 washers over here, 4 washers over here. I don't know what I'm going to do yet for permanent for spacing there. I prefer not to use washers, but I may end up using washers because I'm an amateur. I'd rather get like a little aluminum block. Yeah, and I think that's about how she'll sit. Alright, I drew a line in there where I want to trim that just to make it a little neater, make it match the hole underneath it a little better. We'll go over here and chop that off. I'm just going to follow this line kind of from inside here and ballpark it. It's a lot easier to cut the outside than the inside. Throw that towel down. We want to protect the patina. I don't know which way the sparks are going to go. Probably directly into my shoes. Idiot. Got some more better. Use the pliers, Jimmy. Okay. Let's go see how this fits now. I like that. I think it's pretty good. Go get me a couple of them silk tappers. Hold her solid. See what she looks like. Okay. We'll still have to do some mounting at the front here. I think that'll work pretty good for there. Well, I think that's pretty much it. We'll come back through here, and I'm going to have to do some sheet metal work, which I wouldn't have had to do if I'd done more measuring before I cut, because I've got holes that I don't want in here. So here's how it'll work. And you can latch both of these guys, this one and that one, and then we can just open this up and we'll be able to put that in there so we don't leave it behind. Give it a little spritz of the go-go juice. Have plenty of room for the hose to work and get over the tailgate. And we'll build a bracket that'll be, I don't know, almost could just do a couple pieces of angle iron, because this is a factory bolt, and then there's another one over here. So I could almost do a piece of angle iron to the side of the toolbox and just notch it so it fits around the tube. I think that's what I'll do. And then these will run into that. That'll hold it plenty steady. We'll build a bracket for right there. We'll build a bracket for right there to hold that steady. And then I've got to figure out a way to fill in this hole with some blue metal, because I just don't like that. So we'll draw up the contour and set this guy in there. It's a tiny detail, but it's going to annoy me if I leave it that way. And then I'll definitely change these bolts out. I just put self-tappers in to hold it so we could finish mock-up. We'll drill bigger holes, put some bolts and washers in there, probably galvanized or something so they won't rust. I'd like to use something other than washers under there for spacers. I'd like to get like a little aluminum block and drill it out, something like that. But using washers isn't going to hurt if I end up going that way. But this is one of the most neglected that I've seen of the videos on YouTube, as far as how did you get your filler neck on there. And I think when this is all done, it's going to be super cool. And you won't know the difference. Now, will I go through and remove the old filler doors? Probably should. I don't know if we'll get to that right away. Body work is 3rd, 4th, 10th worry on this truck. We just want to get it running and driving so you can enjoy it, and then we'll work on other stuff as we go. But yeah, I think that's going to work just fine. Fill her up. Or do that. It won't do that when I'm done, probably. I hope. Anyway, tools for this job: drill, tape measure, old, almost free toolbox, a couple of mismatched self-tappers, a handful of washers, cut-off wheel on a grinder, reciprocating saw, which probably could have got by without the reciprocating saw and just use a grinder. But if you're buying tools, I can tell you that my reciprocating saw has been one of the most useful tools I've had. My first reciprocating saw lasted me 20 years, and it wasn't super expensive. It was a Craftsman Professional Series, I think. 20 years it made it before it finally gave up, and I did not use it gently. So I think that's going to cover it for today. I want to do the follow-up on the C10 Blazer tank swap, because I think everyone I looked at didn't show how they did the filler neck. You know, some of them stick it in the middle of the bed. I don't like it. Some of them stuck it in the wheel well. I didn't like that. Some of them did the tilt out, open the tail light thing, which is awesome. But let's be honest, I don't have the talent for that. If there was a kit, maybe, but no. Anyway, I think this is going to be cool. It's going to look a little bit retro. Tucker's the kind of guy, the owner of this truck, that's definitely going to have a toolbox back there anyway. So chuck a couple of quarts of oil in there and some rags and everything else, and it'll look perfectly natural, and no one needs to know that that's where his gas tank actually is. And the fuel doors that are on it aren't rusty or dented or anything, so they're not going to look out of place if I don't do anything with them right away. So came out, I think, pretty cool. We'll be back on this truck hopefully very soon. I need to get some progress made on it. I feel like I've been neglecting it. So In the meantime, check us out on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram's the other one. And give us a like, subscribe, make a comment. If you've done this swap and you did your filler neck a different way, I would love to hear about it, because I think that's the one thing that, like I said, I've said it several times now and I'm repeating myself again, but I'm going to do it anyway because I can. That's where it falls short. What are you going to do with this? The finished part is the hard part, and I think we've shown you another option for it. So we just hit it in the toolbox, which really wasn't that complicated. Time consuming, yes, but complicated, not really. And if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks again for watching, everybody. Have a good week.